Hello again, welcome to another micro sermon, a Red Bull kick to see us through the day. This is part 2 of I am, looking at that statement in the Bible. Last time we looked at how important it was in the Old Testament and the heroes of faith back in the Old Testament, and this time we want to see what Jesus did with this statement and how he rooted himself firmly in Old Testament history. It's very interesting. Our culture defines us. It gives us reason and understanding for who we are as people. And I could make some statements and you might think I'm sort of outlandish because you understand the nature and the history of our culture. Now obviously I'm British, I'm Welsh, and I have a history. So if I were to make some statements now, maybe out of your understanding of the British history, you'd understand how crazy these statements sound. So what if I were to say that I'm a playwright and I've written some plays, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to make the bold pronouncement that my plays are better than William Shakespeare's plays. Sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it? What if I said that I'm a great leader and I believe that I'm one of this nation's greatest leaders and I'm a better leader than Churchill was? And if you know the history of Churchill, he's considered probably the greatest prime minister, the greatest leader that our nation has seen in recent times. So again, that would be a crazy statement to make. What if I said I was a better engineer than Isambard Kingdom Brunel, or a better physicist than Isaac Newton? These would be controversial statements in our day and age. And in history, Jesus made controversial statements. And as we look at particularly John's Gospel in this case, we see some statements that Jesus made. And if outside of this sermon you can take a look at John chapter 8, that's what I'm going to focus on, a couple of statements that Jesus made there. You can see that he said some pretty direct things which clearly showed that he thought he was the Messiah, that he was making these claims to be as an important character in biblical history. So John chapter 8 verse 51, Jesus said, "I will never see death." That's a bold claim. You know, if I walked into the room and I made a claim like that, you'd prick up your ears, you'd take attention and notice. Then in John 8:58, Jesus makes this remarkable statement. Remember everything we heard last time? He says, "Before Abraham was born, I am." He doesn't say before Abraham was born, I was. He says, before Abraham was born, I am. And there's two very key things here that Jesus is saying. He is saying, firstly, I am superior to Abraham. This father of the Jewish nation, I'm superior to him. And secondly, he's saying, I am. This key phrase that we looked at last time. And in that phrase, he is claiming equality with God. He's saying, I am that spoke to Moses all those thousands of years ago. Before Abraham was born, I am, said Jesus. And just in case you think, oh, maybe that, you know, to my ear that doesn't sound that controversial, well, you've got to remember that the Jewish nation of that time, particularly we talk about the Pharisees, they understood everything that was written in the Old Testament, and they knew that Leviticus said that if anyone who blasphemes, i.e. equates himself being equal to God, if anyone who blasphemes himself, they must be put to death. And the way to do this was stoning in the Old Testament. And right in that chapter 8 of the book of John, after Jesus has made these statements, they turn in disbelief and they start to stone him. So clearly the hearers, in their culture and their understanding, realised that this statement was so outlandish that Jesus was claiming to be God in that moment. And it wasn't the first or the last time he made this statement. He also said, all these can be found in the book of the Gospel of John, he said, I am the bread of life, I am the light of the world, I am the door, I am the good shepherd, I am the resurrection and the life, I am the way, the truth and the life, I am the true vine. And in making these statements, every time he's referring back to I am, this boundless God, this God of amazing energy and limitless power. That's who Jesus was claiming to be. And I'm just going to wrap up by reading this quote from C.S. Lewis in one of his arguments. And he's trying to take apart the argument of some people who say Jesus was a historical figure, but he was just a good man, a good moral teacher, and we could learn a lot from Jesus. Well, Jesus was a lot more than that. And C.S. Lewis confronts this type of thinking by saying, a man who was merely a man and said the sort of things that Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic on a level with a man who says he is a poached egg, great line, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman or something worse. But let us not come up with this patronizing nonsense about his being a great moral teacher. He did not leave that open to us, and he did not intend to. Well, that comes to, that's the end of another one of our micro sermons. Remember, be passionate about him and abide in him always. God bless.